Roscini, and I work on Ford's Michigan Central project. That's a development in the city of Detroit, in Detroit's oldest neighborhood, Corktown. And what we're doing down there right now started in 2018 when Bill Ford purchased the Michigan Central Station. It's an iconic train station in Detroit, probably our most well-known building. It's loved by the city and loved by people all over the world. What we're looking at doing is really creating an innovation center and district down there, bringing together numerous partners. We don't plan on doing this alone, bringing together tech and automotive partners and developing and building the future of mobility. And I am fortunate to work on this team. I lead external engagements. So I drive partnerships and programming for the district.
And if you're new to New Lab, I'm sitting in it today. It's an 86,000 square foot shipbuilding facility that was opened in 1803 for the Navy to develop the major battleships for the First and Second World War. And about 6 years ago, we won an RFP to convert what was at the time an abandoned building into a home for frontier tech entrepreneurs, technologists, researchers, all the people building difficult technology and difficult products for the world's more challenging problem sets. And so today we opened with just 100 people 4 years ago. Today there's 900 people here, 170 different companies. And we run both innovation studios, which are partnerships with corporate and government clients alike to help prototype early stage technologies from around the world in regards to specific opportunities or threats that they're experiencing. And then we also have venture studios, which is where we build companies from the ground up. We find insights in the innovation studios that give us direction of where a new product or entity might be needed.
What is that core focus there at Michigan Central? I know it's a lot around mobility, and it's not just about auto or EV or AV, but what is that core focus moving forward there?
Sure, it is absolutely to build the future of mobility. So to look at the problems that are facing our customers and solve those problems with mobility solutions. Ford has a real mission around electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles. We're definitely driving that technology. But I would say all modes of mobility, including air, including water, those are part of Michigan Central. And I think, there's a lot of adjacent industries that have an interest in mobility. And the pandemic has allowed us to see that even more so. I can't tell you how many calls I'm on every week with different industries about how mobility can solve some of the problems that they've faced given this pandemic. Goods delivery, moving people even in a safe and, a safe way where we're not worried about spreading, the virus right now. But I think we've learned a lot about kind of the different partnerships that we'll see down there, academics, foundations. I think those were kind of the natural and what we were thinking, but through this last year or so, we're really looking at all of the adjacent industries that may be able to come in and create together down here.
At Google X, we had an abandoned Air Force base we leased for testing autonomous vehicles through different high-risk experiences. The average startup doesn't have the funding to do something of that sort.
Right.
So joining districts and community where you get this support, you have access to the pilot grounds you need, you have access to capital during something as challenging as a pandemic, where you have a similar community of people who can help you with the problems. And so the overall indication of success is job growth, number of companies created. We like to be the parents' basement. We like the 170 companies here to get too big where they can't live here. We want them to scale outside of the Navy Yard. Brooklyn is now second in the country in tech job growth, which has changed just in the last 5 years. And you see more than 10% of that is companies that have been started here at New Lab, but then have hundreds of employees now throughout New York City and are now just virtual members to our community.
Yeah, it's very much the flywheel model, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
We're looking at bringing down about 2,500 employees to the district itself. And I think that the goals and metrics for Ford will be around the innovation, the adjacent industries, the kind of success and trends of EVs and AVs and where we're going with that work. right now we're targeting 2,500 employees from Ford and at least 2,500 from other companies. I think that it'll be really interesting what happens with that collaboration. And I think those metrics are going to be what's really exciting, because it's different. It's a different way of working for Ford. It's a different way of working for all of the traditional OEMs, where we are more siloed. And I think, it's interesting to think about what we could do together. This concept of an open platform is very different. It's very different for Ford. It's very different for the city of Detroit and the startup and innovation community that's here today. So we're really looking at how we can change things and bring this to life.
At the high level, if you're generalizing, you see internal and external strategies, and then you see organizations that have a combination of both, and some of those are certainly the most effective. My Google X experience was a great example of an internal strategy. And to be successful at that, it typically requires patience of funding. You need funding that's available for decades on projects before they produce revenue, as an example. Project Chauffeur, the development of the autonomous vehicle, took 11 years to provide $1 in revenue back to Alphabet. And so you need that level of kind of patient capital that people are willing to invest in your efforts in that regard. Then you need to be able to attract and retain at a full-time level the best talent in the world. If you're going to do moonshot projects across 30 different industries and opportunities, you're going to need the best minds and the brightest minds in all of those areas. And if you're lucky and you're Google, maybe the world's best computer vision engineer, she's excited to work at Google. Or maybe you're a huge billion-dollar organization that makes toilets, and a computer vision engineer is less attracted to that kind of career opportunity. Then you build an environment where failure is accepted.
Right.
But with our model is taking 12-month partnerships with corporate and government bodies and bringing those technologists, those entrepreneurs, those researchers into the studio, where they develop new technologies, new products, where they own the IP. So the cost of their insight isn't as difficult as hiring them full time.
Right.
But the corporate or government client then gets to pilot those technologies, see if they do what they claim they would do, and then have access to license or acquire or invest in what's been tested and developed in their studio. And so the average innovation studio has a budget that's the equivalent of like 2 engineers on my team at Google.
Right.
And for the cost of those 2 people, you get 50 to 100 different technologists, entrepreneurs, startups, government representatives, corporate entities, all working to solve your problems.